All right, I'm getting a thumbs up. Welcome, everyone. This is our regular meeting of Tuesday, June the 4th of 2019. We will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation from Chaplain Buckner and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chaplain Buckner.
Father, we come to you with gratitude tonight. Thank you, Lord, for the city, for the community that we live in. Thank you for your love and your care for us. Thank you for the relationships that you allow us to build and strengthen together. Lord, we thank you for Starkville. And thank you, Lord, for your grace and mercy.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord, for taking care of us, even though storms come through, that, Lord, you seem to protect us and bless us in so many ways, and we just don't take that for granted. We recognize that you are the creator and sustainer of life, so we honor you with that. Lord, we also ask that you would help us to know what you have called us to do in our city. Thank you for your word from Proverbs 31. It says, speak up for those who have no voice. Give justice for those being crushed, and defend the rights of the oppressed and needy. Lord, we ask you to give us eyes to see and ears to hear. Lord, we know that we don't have a hearing problem. Often we have a listening problem. Sometimes we don't have a seeing problem, but we have a looking problem. So, Lord, we ask that you would help us to see and hear as you see and hear. Lord, thank you for the role of government in the lives of your creation. Thank you that you've given us government to restrict evil. And Lord, we ask that you would help our government, even this evening, to see and hear the way that you would give us those eyes and ears to see and to hear. So help us to communicate well, and help us to know your ways, Lord, and to follow them. Thank you so much for your love. Thank you, Jesus, for your sacrifice and for blessing us in every way. We ask this for your glory. In Jesus' name.
All right, thank you. If you'd be seated, we have a treat tonight. Our next item on the agenda will be the swearing in of our newly elected Ward 5 Alderman, Mr. Hamp Beatty. And I get to do that. That is my great honor. So if you will come forward, I'm going to join you down here, and we will swear you in. And I promise to go slow, because he's going to have to repeat after me. All right. If you would raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Preston Hamilton Beatty.
I, Preston Hamilton Beatty.
On this 4th day of June.
On this 4th day of June,
2019.
2019.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully support.
That I will faithfully support.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of
And
Mississippi.
the Constitution of the State of Mississippi.
And obey the laws thereof.
And obey the laws thereof.
That I am not disqualified.
And not disqualified.
From holding the office of Alderman.
Holding the office of Alderman.
Ward 5.
Ward 5.
Of the City of Starkville.
Of the City of Starkville.
That I will faithfully discharge.
That I will faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office.
The duties of the office.
Upon which I am about to enter.
Upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Okay, so you have a key to the city in different ways, and we have your new nameplate. So, all ready for you to go. Come join us up here. All right, and for that, we will now roll into approval of the official agenda, including consented agenda items. There are nothing on consent right now. Does anyone wish to? Alderman Little, I see your hand.
First, I'd like to welcome Alderman Beatty to the board table tonight.
Thank you so much.
Look forward to working with you. Get to know you. Mayor, under Mayor's business, item B. Like
Okay.
that's consent.
Item B is the Homestead Education Center agreement. Any objections to that? All right, seeing none, we'll add that to the consent agenda.
Item C,
Item C, which is the application for the build grant or the qualifications of the consulting firm for the build grant. Any objections to that? Seeing none, put it on consent.
under board business, item A,
Item A, which is advertising for the 5-year term. Any objections to that? All right, seeing none.
and under item B, under board business, I'd like to add Henry Vaughn as the voting delegate and alternate Ben Carver.
Okay, Alderman Vaughn, is that satisfactory to you?
It's great.
All right, we have Alderman Vaughn and then Mr. Carver, and you're offering that for consent?
Yes.
All right, any objections to that?
One question for you, Brother Fuller. Back up to A. Is Frank Childs going to sit your term out, or are you going to re-enter?
No, he is, it ends at the end of June, and he has applied, but as it stands right now, we haven't advertised yet, so
Okay.
we'll take it up at the next board meeting.
All right.
All right.
Under department business.
Yes, sir.
Item B,
The variance
that's
request?
the variance on the sign.
Okay, any objections to that going on consent? All right, seeing none?
Item C,
Okay, and that is an accessory structure for a residence. Any objections to that going on consent?
Which one?
This is item C. It's a variance for,
pergola. I believe.
yeah, it's a overhang that is encroaching a bit, so.
Okay.
Any issues with that? All right,
And the same item basically on D.
okay. That is the same item across the street, so. Okay, consent for that one.
Item E,
E is, okay, that's a grant. Any objections to the grant? All right, put that on consent.
under fire department,
Okay.
items 1 and 2.
Any objections to the commercial burn permit or the lawnmower? All right, seeing none, consent for that.
Under HR, items 1 through 4.
Okay, any objections to items 1 through 4 under HR? All right, seeing none, we'll consent those items as well.
Under parks, item 1.
Okay, and that is the improvements to the J.L. King walking track. Any objections to that? Seeing none, we'll put that on consent.
Under the PD, item 1
Okay?
and 2.
Any objections, 1 and 2? Any objections to 1 and 2 under the police department? All right, seeing none, those will go on consent.
And under utilities, item 1 and 2.
All right, any objection to items 1 and 2 under utilities? All right, seeing none, we'll put those on consent. I now need a motion to approve the agenda, well, I'm sorry, any further items? I apologize, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I see my colleague, our former city prosecutor out there, and our former county prosecutor, Ms. Carpenter. Is something on the agenda that we need to, maybe can get you at the top, or is there something that we can address right away?
I believe it's the public hearing, Vice Mayor.
Okay, I just want to make sure, I don't want the gentleman from my colleague just be sitting around here. Yes, sir, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Carpenter. Thank you, Attorney Carpenter.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anything further? All right, seeing none, if I could get a motion to approve the official agenda with the consented items that have been added.
So moved,
I
Mayor.
have a motion from Alderman Little. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Sistrunk. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I will now read the consented agenda items. Under Mayor's Business, item B is consideration of an agreement with the Homestead Education Center for the use of the J.L. King Center for the months of June and July of 2019. Item C is consideration of choosing the qualifications of the consulting firm Farmer Morgan to complete and apply for the U.S. Department of Transportation Better Utilizing Investments to Leverage Development or the BUILD grant, and Appalachian Region Commission grants for improvements to the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive Highway 182 corridor. Under board business, we have item A, this is consideration of advertising for the 5-year term of the Golden Triangle Regional Airport Authority Board, currently held by Frank Childs and set to expire on June 30th, 2019. Under B, that's consideration of a resolution appointing the 2019 voting delegate, Alderman Henry Vaughn, and the alternative voting delegate, Alderman Ben Carver, for the city of Starkville to the 2019 Mississippi Municipal League Summer Conference in Biloxi, June the 24th through the 26th. Under planning, we have item B, which is consideration of a variance request, VA 19-08, a request by Luco Properties for variance relief from wall sign size requirements for a business located at 311 Highway 12 West, Suite B and C in a C2 zoning district with a property number 102G-00-032.00. Item C is consideration of a variance request, VA 19-07, a request by Neil Heitzman from the location requirements for an accessory structure for a residence located at 92 Frenchman Street in an R3 zone with a property number 102H-00-191.18. Item D is consideration of a variance request of VA 19-09, a request by Neil Heitzman from the location requirements for an accessory structure for a residence located at 71 Frenchman Street in an R3 zone with a property number 102H-00-191.17. Item E is consideration of entering into a memorandum of agreement with the Mississippi Department of Archives and History, MDAH, to accept a certified local government grant, CLG, to prepare a comprehensive historic property survey plan for the city of Starkville at a total cost of $17,000, with $8,500 to be reimbursed by the grant. Under the fire department, we have request permission to issue a commercial burn permit to Ben Rush to burn clear debris associated with a construction project at 1329 Babylon Road. Under 2, we have request permission to purchase a 52-inch lawnmower for fire department lawns from Oktibbeha County Co-op for the cost of $8,080, the lower of 2 quotes received. Under human resources, we have number 1, which is request authorization to hire Brady Haynes and Joshua Reed as an apprentice lineman in the Starkville Utilities Department. Number 2 is request authorization to advertise for 3 maintenance workers in the Sanitation Environmental Services Department. Number 3 is request authorization to hire Dontavius Howard as a temporary full-time driver in the Sanitation Environmental Services Department. And number 4 is request authorization to hire 4 additional seasonal lifeguards in the Parks and Recreation Department. Under Parks, we have request permission to accept the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation grant for the amount of $25,000 to be used for inclusion and accessibility improvements at J.L. King Senior Memorial Park. And that is the J.L. King walking track overlay, just to be clear on that for everyone who may be listening. Under Police Department, we have item 1, request authorization to allow Corporal Paul Woods and Officer Colby Huffman to attend the TASER instructor course at Camp Shelby on July 9th through the 10th, 2019, at an estimated cost of $1,250 each. Under 2 is consideration of application for fiscal year 19 Office of Justice Programs Bulletproof Vest Partnership in the amount of $7,488 with a police department match of $3,744. And under Utilities Department, number 1 is request approval of the lowest and best bid from Howard Industries, Inc. of Laurel, Mississippi for 2 18/24/30 MVA power transformers for Southwest Starkville primary substation material in the amount of $864,342. 2 is request approval for Jacob Forrester of Starkville Utilities to travel to Dallas, Texas to attend the 44th Annual Honeywell User Group Americas Conference on June the 9th through the 14th for a user training conference for the AMI system the city has implemented with costs not to exceed $3,500. And that concludes the consent agenda items.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir, my pleasure. All right, with that, we now go to approve. We didn't include the minutes.
I noticed
That's
that.
quite all right. Well, we need to approve the minutes. We have item 4 as consideration of the minutes of the May 7th, 2019 meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
I have a motion from Alderman Little. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Walker. Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of the minutes of the May 17th meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
I have a motion from Alderman Little. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Walker. Further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we move to announcements and comments, and my opportunity to speak on a couple of things. Number 1, I want to congratulate Chief Yarborough. I need to find you in the audience somewhere. Where did you go? There you are. Chief Yarborough is now the Vice President of the Mississippi Fire Chiefs Association, which puts him in line for the presidency. And how long do you serve as Vice President, Chief?
2 years.
Do you serve as Vice President for 2 years and then move into the presidency role? I'm sure of it. I have no doubt. All right, well, congratulations. I think that's wonderful, and you represent us proudly, so thank you for that. The other item I have immediately was security cameras. We keep getting on social media questions about the security cameras, so I was going to mention them yet again that, and Joel can correct me, or the Chief Nichols can correct me. They are the flashing red and blue cameras. They are not facial recognition. They are not ticketing cameras for speeding. They are, what should we call them, post-event cameras or cameras for our events that occur in downtown and in the Cotton District where we have large groups of people. It allows us to look for potential hotspots. It also allows us to go back and look perhaps accident reconstruction or where things might have happened that we need to check what was going on in an area. So we currently have 10 of the brand new ones that are flashing blue and red. They are located in various parts. Mr. Joel there, would you tell me, we have them at several locations, but we have a map on our website. Is that correct, that shows where they are?
That's correct, Mayor. If you go to cityofstarkville.org, there's a map and other information, excuse me, related to the cameras.
Okay, and we have had cameras in downtown and in the Cotton District before. These are just a more sophisticated version of that. So I will continue to answer questions on social media, but for now, that at least allows me the opportunity to talk about it in this setting. And then we have Chief Nichols, who has asked for the floor. So would you like to come up, Chief?
Greetings, Mayor, Vice Mayor,
Thank you, sir.
and members of the board. It's with great pleasure and sometimes sorrow that I announced that I'm planning to retire the end of the year in December. I'd just like to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to serve in this great capacity these past 27 years, 31 total with my military service. So I just pray that if I leave a legacy, it's not anything personal, that is my guys and the way they continue to operate and serve this great city. So again, thank you.
Chief, thank you for your service, both to our country as well as to our city. So thank you very much for all the years you put in with us, and we will look forward to some kind of really fun retirement party.
Well, you know, I'm not big on send-offs and stuff like that. I just kind of rather just go quietly.
We're not going to let you go quietly. But anyway, thank you for your service. So. All right. On that note, do we have any Board of Aldermen comments?
Mayor, may I be recognized?
Vice Mayor, you may.
Chief Nichols, these are certainly unplanned comments prior to your departure from the city in the next 7 months. I would and am respectfully requesting for you to provide the mayor, the vice mayor, and the board with whatever recommendation, if any, that you may desire for this board, together with the mayor, to consider prior to your departure. Of course, as you mentioned, you started 6 months before I did. You started in December of 1992. Yes, so certainly would like to hear what you have to say, if anything. You have very vast amount of knowledge, expertise, and experience, and I do not want to left here with the decision-making not having any recommendation from you prior to leaving. I certainly would like to be equipped with whatever further knowledge that I may need, so that I hopefully, and I would think the rest of the board, can make the decision or decisions that would promote the best interest of the city of Starkville. This is a very important position. Prior to your hiring, the board carefully considered all the applicants together with their qualifications, experience, background, and credentials, and came with a very solid decision to hire you as the chief of police. I certainly hate to see you leave. I was hoping that we don't have to fill another department head position prior to the end of this term. It comes with a lot of community input, thoughts, and involvement at any time with a department head level position, but do not want to be selfish. Certainly respect your decision. Wish you the greatest success. I won't even say the best success. The greatest success in all of your endeavors. You are a young man. Obviously, you have given much thought and deliberation to this, and that is to be expected. And we'd like to close with saying that, and I know all the other board members think very highly of you because you came in with a great vote, but you have served this city and department extremely well with great honor, leadership, and with distinction. So you will go down, in my opinion, of all the department heads I've seen, which has been a multitude of them, as one of our greatest and best department heads that we have ever had. So wish you the best of success, and I thought I'd take this moment to say this, given my now almost 26 years and near 30 years of being here. So thank you for your superior leadership, Chief. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I guess I will,
Alderman
Mayor. Chief, been great working with you, but it's gonna be hurt to see you leave, because one thing I can say, a lot of times I be in West Point, them people's over there say, don't go to Starkville. Chief Nichols gonna get you if you go over there messing up. And I thank you so much for that. It wasn't the fear, it was the respect that they had for you. They knew that you ran a good city. And I just can't thank you enough for the time that we've been together, and we're gonna miss you. But thank you so much for your hard work and what all you have contributed to this great city of Starkville. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderman. Anyone else? All right, we will move now to citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for anyone who wishes to come make comments to the board. You have 3 minutes. We do time it. It is not a two-way conversation generally, so just so you know. Mr. Turner, always a pleasure to see you.
Greetings to the mayor and board. My name is Adam Turner, Ward 7. To the mayor, to the police chief.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
It will be three years this coming 4th of July that my baby brother was shot. So I did a background check on myself to try to keep myself together. Have some bodyguards that's gonna be kind of watching out, seeing what I can't see. And I guess that Reverend Tolliver and myself, like we saw like Paul and Silas. And I was saying he'll pray. But we hoping that the days ahead that we will get better and be better, because we hearing that all this stuff that's going on, that the guy turned in resignation and then shot 12 people. That's scary. So let them good luck to all of y'all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Turner. Anyone else wishing to address the board?
Thank you, Mayor and Board. My name's Kelly Prather. I spoke with you back in January one time about an issue in Carpenter Place. I want to address that quickly, but I want to thank you for your service and all the great things you're doing for the city of Starkville. What a great time to live in this city, so you guys are awesome. We really appreciate what you're doing. I moved to Carpenter Place last year in December for a temporary period of time. I own a home there while I'm building another home, and a couple of things come up. I want to address two things. I want to address flooding, and I want to talk about the street problems. So first, I would tell you, I know that the street problem we have there, the streets have just not been overlaid. You can't push a baby stroller down the street. It's terrible. There's places where the street is washed out for a foot. If you come into Carpenter Place, you come in on Stark Lane, and then you turn and it becomes Suzanne Avenue. And then when you turn in, Suzanne Avenue goes to the left, turn right, and that's Bryce Lane. That's where I live on Bryce Lane. There's about, on the west side of Bryce Lane, there's probably 6 or 7 houses. On the east side of Bryce Lane, Charlie Morgan is building about 6 or 7 more houses, just to let you know. So right now, and I could be off by 1 or 2, there's 119 properties total for Carpenter Place. There's 113 that have, no, excuse me, there's 106 that are occupied. So that leaves about 13 lots that are to be constructed or under construction. So that's, and my math could be off, that's about 90%. So Carpenter Place is about 90% full. And I think the policy is that once you get about 80 to 85%, we begin to fix the streets. Now, the streets it's really bad. You go down Bryce Lane, you turn left on Lee Lane to go up the hill, and it's just like this. And it's time. There were 25 people that wanted to come here tonight from Carpenter Place, but we didn't do that, and I came instead. But there's close out there. The people are really starting to say it's time for the city to help us do something. I have met with Charlie, and I talked to him about it, but I'm not sure I'm getting anywhere about this. I want to ask the city to step up and say, it's time to do something. You can't push a baby stroller down the street, throwing chat in the holes in the street and driving over. It just doesn't work, okay? So I would ask the city and Alderman Walker, we need to address the issue and come over there. If you hadn't driven down Lee Lane, Bryce Lane, let's do that. Now, I want to talk about the flooding that occurs on Bryce Lane whenever it rains. And we've had a lot of water and a lot of, it's going to flood. I understand that when you have big rains. But even when it's a small rain, we had 3.5 feet of water in the street recently. Now, Bryce Lane comes down like this. It's a small bowl right there. Above Bryce Lane is Edwin Avenue. There's no drain that was ever put in on Edwin Avenue, a whole street with no drain. So there's an opportunity on Suzanne Avenue and Lee Lane to put it, all the water comes into Bryce Lane. So it needs to be looked at and figure out, is there a way to cut a swell down Suzanne or a swell down Lee Lane so all the water doesn't turn into Bryce?
Okay.
That's the issue.
Thank you,
Okay?
sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mayor?
Yes. Alderman Little?
Mr. President, I appreciate you bringing that forward. I know that's not in my ward. I have driven down there recently, and those roads are in terrible shape. And I know it hasn't been dedicated to the city at this point, but if there's some legal aspect, the city attorney can pass through to us to take some sort of action to enforce that the roads onto the contractor, the developer, to follow through and getting those resurfaced. Something needs to be addressed down there. And Edward, maybe you could look at maybe the potential for some sort of swales or something as mentioned to address the flooding issues. He's got videos. I think I've shared some of those with you as well. And
Thank you, Alderman.
Yeah, I was just going to ask the city engineer if you could, just to give an update at our next meeting or before then, if we can, about where we are on the percentage of the houses out there in the lots, so we can find out what it is we can do to try to push this along. I know we've been trying to try to get Mr. Morgan to finish up out there so we can get those roads dedicated so we can do his final overlay. So if you can just give us an update on where we are percentage-wise, that would be much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the board?
Greetings, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Board of Aldermen.
Good evening.
My name is Jessica Hill. On June the 1st, I submitted an application for external contributions. I am asking the board to strongly consider my application for Mississippi SOS. So it's a safe house in Oktibbeha County. We currently have one in Columbus, Mississippi, but we don't have one here. I'm asking for the amount of $5,000. $1,500 will be placed towards, I'm asking to be placed towards Starkville Day for Mothers Against Domestic Violence Dispute, Children Village. So it will cover any children's events that will be there that day. And also the $3,500 will be covered towards the building fund for Mississippi SOS. We don't currently have one here, and I'm asking the city to strongly consider having one here in our area. This place will service 50 or more people, or survivors of domestic violence. It will also help with any literature or help that that person needs to push forward to the next level.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Hill.
you.
Okay, anyone else?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, board members, my name is Chris Taylor from Ward 7. Normally I don't write stuff down, but today I had to write it. It took me 30 minutes, almost an hour to write what I'm about to say. And it is quite disappointing to hear that some of you, our elected leaders, who show model tolerance and difference and respect for other people's opinion, that to have stooped to a level of pettiness that is reflected by gossip. You know, instead of gossiping, instead of spreading the rumor, go to that person if you're elected leader. If you don't like that opinion, tell that person. Don't go behind their back telling everybody else what that person's opinion is. I got my own opinion. I support what I want to support. And that's all I got to say. Thank you. No, I still got 30 seconds. Update on Pecan Acres. Anything? You haven't heard nothing? See, that's another gossip. They say we're about to go in. So like I say, gossip, people, you ain't doing nothing but hurting yourself. Be a man or a woman and talk to that person individually. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we will close it for citizens' comments. And our next item on the agenda is a public hearing. We have two public hearings scheduled. One of them is a request for conditional use to allow mobile home. And Ms. Corbin?
The applicant, Christina Johnson, is seeking a conditional use to place a mobile home at 1560 Louisville Street in an R5 zone. Two property owners of record within 300 feet of the subject property were notified directly by mail of this request. A public hearing notice was published in the Starkville Daily News on May 20th. The slide incorrectly lists March 27th. And a sign was posted on the property concurrent with publication of the notice. As of this date, the planning office has received no phone calls regarding the request. And just to get you oriented to the site, the subject property is located almost at the intersection of Industrial Park Road and Louisville Street, and it is currently owned by the school district. Let's see, the subject property is approximately 2.2 acres, and there is an existing dilapidated structure on the property. The city has contacted the school district to discuss removing the structure from the property. The structure will be removed at some point in the future, but it is not currently known. Appendix A, Article 4, Section 1 of the city's Codes of Ordinances provides 5 specific criteria for conditional use review and approval, one being land use compatibility. There are existing mobile homes across the street to the west, and the comprehensive plan lists the area's place type as rural corridor, and residential is listed as a land use for the rural corridor designation. The site is adequately sized to accommodate the proposed use. There are no mitigative techniques proposed, no hazardous waste generated on the site, and the applicant is going to be responsible for obtaining the proper permits required by the city and the state. On May 14th, 2019, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-0 to recommend approval of this request with the following recommended conditions. And that second condition is in reference to the subject structure that is on the site, with the expectation that the structure will be removed to leave enough room for that. And suggested motion.
Okay, so am I seeing this, is there a time, 6 months is the time frame to remove the house, the structure?
No, that is for the permitting for the mobile home.
Okay, so.
The second one is for the mobile home to be placed 50 feet away from the existing structure, so
Right.
that when that structure is removed, there's enough room for the mobile home to exist.
So there was no timeline for
No.
removal of the house?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any questions of Ms. Corbett? Alderman Little?
Do you have any photos of the structure?
They were included in the packet. I did not include this in the presentation.
I just didn't see it in the, unless I'm missing it. I drove by there today, Mayor's where I'm heading with this. I just understand why we're gonna allow the structure to remain. I think in other areas of town, we've been asking these to be torn down or controlled burns. And if we've taken any sort of action on this particular property in question, do you have any idea?
This is a school district property, and so I think we have some restrictions as to what we can require based on the 16th section property and 16th section land the school district owns.
So they can allow something in the city to sit there and.
I don't know the law on that. Attorney Latimer, do you have any specific law that you can cite about that, or do we need to research it?
You know, let me talk to the school district about that, because clearly they own the land, but we should have enforcement power based on our ordinances for a dilapidated structure. So I'd like to see the structure too, to see whether it could qualify under 21-1911.
I would suggest that we table this matter tonight, Mayor.
Okay, are you making a motion to table it?
Yes, ma'am.
Until such time as the city attorney can
Yes, ma'am.
provide us with that information? Okay, do I have a motion, or do I have a second to that motion?
Second?
Alderman, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Perkins, was that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Is it?
Yeah.
Ah,
See what I'm talking
okay.
about?
I think that would qualify. Okay.
If the
Okay.
board were to make that finding.
All right. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? We have the pictures up there. All right. And your motion, Alderman Little, is to table it until such time as the city attorney can return. Are you directing him to return at the next meeting?
Yes, yes, ma'am. If that gives
Okay.
you ample time.
It's
Okay.
fine.
All right. Any
And
further?
if it's in violation, I think the code enforcement should go ahead and move forward with any action at that time. If it's in violation, and we can, within our, the legal process, then you see that any different?
No, there are two ways to proceed. You can proceed from a code enforcement standpoint. You could also proceed from the state statute 21-1911. If you proceed under 21-1911, you have to provide the statutory notice, and that's a very strict process. And so the call would be at the next meeting to have a public hearing under 21-1911 after notice is presented.
Okay, we have noticed a public hearing, so would you assume that we should go ahead and have that public hearing?
Yes,
Based on
since
that?
notice
Okay.
went out.
All right, so I have a motion second. We'll hold off on that vote, and I'll have a public hearing, and we will come back to that with that motion pending. Is there anyone, I'll open it as a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to that item? The applicant? Yes, ma'am. Would you come forward, state your name, please?
Hello.
Good morning,
Hi.
or good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Board of Aldermen. My name is Christina Johnson. I'm the one that's wanting to put the home on the property. As far as the structure goes on the property, I was told that the fire department can burn it at free, at no cost to me because it belongs to the school district. And being that I'm only leasing it, I'm not actually buying it. They were thinking that would be easier for me because the fire department can burn it down at no cost to me. So, but they said because it will take, they can only do so many a year, I may be waiting up to 1 to 2 years to have the structure removed.
Could I stop you right there?
Sure,
Chief
sure.
Yarborough, I believe that's incorrect, is it not?
Okay, it was discussed at the last meeting,
Okay.
that they can only do so many a year.
I believe our fire department's got more latitude than that, but, all right, thank you, Chief. I didn't mean to interrupt you, I just
think-
wanted you to.
Which
Oh,
meeting
that's
are you
fine.
talking about, ma'am?
I was at the last, hearing,
I believe it was,
May.
was it planning and
School
zoning?
board?
Yes. No, the last hearing here, it was
It's
May
planning
of.
and zoning.
Planning and zoning committee, okay. All right, well, now that we've got that cleared up, yes, ma'am, anything else you'd like to?
Well, because I have a 6-month time frame to actually put a mobile home there, they said I can do it 50 feet in front, but which there's not 50 feet in front of it. I can do it in the back, but because I will have to clear out the brush, even though I have to clear out the brush anyway to put a home there, I can have the home removed myself, is what I'm saying. And then it won't cost me anything because I have a family member that does that type of work. So I was wondering, instead of, if the fire department can do it within the time frame, I'm fine with that. But if it was going to take a year or two, then I would gladly do it.
Okay,
myself.
all right, thank you. Anything else that you'd like to say to the board?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No,
In there, if we take it up at the next meeting, obviously we can do more than one burn. So we can bring it forward for action at the next one. We just need to get permission from the school district.
That's right. And it may be simple, they just say yes and go ahead.
Yes,
That's,
okay.
that was what I was gonna ask, if we could just get the school district to okay
Okay,
us.
all right. If there's no one else, thank you. Anything else? All right, seeing nothing else, I have a motion and a second, no further discussion. All right, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, we have one more public hearing item, which is consideration of a rezoning request, Carpenter Court. Ms. Corbin?
This is a request by Carpenter Court 2019 LP to rezone one parcel from C1 business and R5 residential to R5 residential based on change in condition with public need. 11 property owners of record within 300 feet of the subject property were notified directly by mail of the request. A public hearing was published in the Starkville Daily News on May 14th, 2019, and a sign was posted on the property concurrent with publication of the notice. As of today, the planning office has received no phone calls regarding the request. site is approximately 12 acres, and to the northeast, there is a multifamily development owned by Mississippi Regional Housing Authority, and to the south, Sandhill Arms LLC is located there. This is a sample picture of the proposed building style that the developer included in the packet, that it's his intention to build on the subject property. The comprehensive plan lists the subject property's place type as suburban center. Multifamily is listed as a land use for the suburban center designation. The proposed rezoning would be consistent and compatible with adjacent land uses in the vicinity. There is multifamily development in the northeast, as I mentioned earlier, and the south. And under the current zoning, C1, it is a conditional use for multifamily, whereas it's by right in R5, which is the request for the R5 designation. Per Title 17, Chapter 1 of the Mississippi Code of 1972, as amended, and Appendix A, Article 4, Section A of the City of Starkville Code of Ordinances, the official zoning map may be amended only when one or more of the following conditions prevail. Error in the map. While the property is split zone R5 and C2, as I mentioned at the previous public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission did not feel that that was made an error, and so they asked the applicant to come back and argue the case for change in condition and public need. And so they recommended approval based on change in condition and public need on the April 9th, 2019 Planning and Zoning meeting. Let's see. As far as changing conditions in the area surrounding the property, within 1 mile of the subject property along Louisville Street and Sand Road, there have been 2 rezonings since the adoption of the 2013 zoning map. In March of 2018, 288 Sand Road was rezoned from R5 to R6, and in June of 2018, the property on the west side of Louisville Street, south of Academy Road, was rezoned from R4 to C1.
Okay, and that's your suggested motion. Okay, thank you. All right, any questions of Ms. Corbin before we ask the applicant to come up? Okay, seeing none. Is the applicant here? Okay, anything y'all would like to add to what Ms. Corbin has presented?
I don't think so. I'm Britton Jones, this is Roy Carpenter, and it's split zoned, and we provided, I think I'll have the package on it, but the need and also change in condition along that whole street with multifamily surrounding us.
Okay, and when do you think you're gonna, this is just a curiosity question on my part, when do y'all think, assuming it's approved, when do y'all think you'd get started?
It will actually probably be over a year from now.
Oh.
So we apply for funding to do these developments.
Okay.
And it may not happen this round, but we're trying to prepare for next year. And we know we'll have to have it zoned properly when that happens. So we're
Okay.
kind of ahead of the game now.
Okay, all right. Does any alderman have any questions of the applicant?
What type of funding are you applying for the construction?
It's called Section 42 tax credits. It's for affordable housing. You apply, and every state gets a certain amount depending on their population, and it's a once-a-year thing in Mississippi, and usually around 4 new construction developments are awarded each year throughout Mississippi. So we're hoping to come back here in about a year and try to get one.
How many units are in this?
Units in that would be about 48 units.
Anything further, Mr. Beatty?
Mr. Jones, this in with the same standards that re-road housing, is that right?
Same thing.
You rent to own.
And so we did the same thing on Reed Road, lease, purchase, or rent to own. 15-year, it'll be rented, and then the person living there can buy the home if they want to. We applied for another one a couple months ago on Reed Road, and we'll find out hopefully in a couple months, and so we can move forward with that one.
Anything further, Alderman Vaughn? Anyone else? All right, if y'all would, I'm going to open it as a public hearing. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. All right, I'm going to open this as a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor or in opposition to this particular rezoning, now would be the opportunity. Anyone wishing to speak in favor or against? All right, seeing none, I will close it as a public hearing. Do I have a motion from anyone on the board? Alderman Walker.
I appreciate you attempting to find funding to bring more affordable housing to our community. I think it is an area of need for sure. And while it may not be an error in the map, I think it's anytime you have a split zoning, I don't think it's to the benefit of anybody who owns that property or to the surrounding areas. So with that, Mayor, I would approve recommending rezoning of this property, citing change of condition in the neighborhood.
All right, thank you. I have a motion from Alderman Walker. Do I have a
And
second?
public meeting.
I have a second from Alderman Sistrunk. All right, further discussion. Anyone? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. You are. Thank you so much for being here. Nice to see you. All right, under Mayor's business, we have consideration of calling for the first public hearing on the adoption of an annexation ordinance for the city of Starkville. Obviously, this has been in the works for quite some time. We started with a rather large area that we were looking at for potential annexation territories. We have pared it very far back to being only to the east along 182 into the Clayton Village and around the bypass area. So that is what the ordinance indicates, and that is the map that we saw when last we heard from Slaughter and Associates. So do I have a motion from the board?
Move approval to call for the public hearing.
I have a motion from Alderman Sistrunk to call for the public hearing, for the first public hearing on the adoption of an annexation ordinance. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Beatty. Further discussion. Alderman Walker.
Mayor, I just want to, I appreciate I think, taking methodical steps along this process, and I just want to make sure that it's clear what this is calling for. So this, if this is approved tonight, that'll just be calling for the first public hearing to discuss annexing of the actual properties where all community members that are in the annexed territory or the potential annexed territory will have the opportunity to come before the board and make their voices known. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. We'll have two public hearings as we do for adoption of any ordinance, and it can be for those who are being annexed and those who are not being annexed, anyone who wishes to come talk.
Correct. And so what this is doing tonight is setting that up and is stating in this resolution what those areas are that would be discussed at the public hearing. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And we have the map. There's a map upstairs. There's a map online. Mr. Clements has got that map on our website. Is it also on our Facebook page?
It has been posted to our Facebook page as well.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor.
All right, thank you. So we will certainly make that available at any point in time, and it's accessible online. So,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you. All right, further discussion. All right, seeing none, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, by a vote of 4-2, motion carries. All right, the next item is the consideration of a resolution to levy an additional 1% economic development, tourism, and convention tax imposed by the city of Starkville, Mississippi on the gross revenue of hotels, motels, and restaurants for the purpose of improving the city of Starkville's parks and recreation facilities. And if in case anyone didn't know, the election was last Thursday, and it was a 73.93% vote in favor, and we had to have 60, so I obviously am still very excited that that happened that way. So we do have to adopt this resolution. Do I have a motion for?
Move approval, Mayor.
I have a motion from Alderman Walker to adopt the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Sistrunk. Further discussion. Alderman Sistrunk.
We have a plan in place for notifying all of our vendors and for notifying the Department of Revenue of these changes, and I know we do. I just want to be clear.
You want to say it? Okay. It is, while she's asking City Clerk, does the Secretary of State do the notification, or Department of Revenue do the notification, or do we? Department of Revenue does the notification. Okay, and that will be for collection beginning August 1. Is that accurate? Yes. Okay, all right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
By a vote of 4-2, motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving right along, the next item we have is under planning. It's a special event request for Bulldog Bash for 2019.
Move approval, Mayor.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Alderman Walker and a second from Alderman Little. Discussion.
May not be recognized.
Mr. Yes, Mr. Latimer, I'm sorry, yes.
There's a proposed condition attached to the motion that says that insurance should be provided within 10 days of the event, which is September 20th, 2019. Excuse me. Our
Okay.
special events policy says that insurance has to be provided 20 days before the event.
You want some water?
I might need some in a minute. I would recommend it change in 10 to 20. Excuse me.
Okay.
I
Would like
amend the
make that-
motion to
amend
go
the
from
motion?
10 to 20,
Okay.
so agreed to.
Councilor Latimer, what is the amount of that policy? What's the value, what's the stated amount of policy that the special events liability policy will be? Is it $1 million?
$1 million, general liability.
Does, will they name or show the city of Starkville as additional insured?
That's called for, and also a waiver of subrogation in favor of the city.
Very good.
Okay, and with that amendment, Alderman Little, I will, but I just want to make sure I'll go to him. I just want to make sure your second was
Yes,
with that
yes,
amendment.
I
All right,
can do it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I certainly appreciate our very continuous record of partnering with Mississippi State University and have supported continuously a partnering of Mississippi State University. And at one point in the history of our city, the law did not allow for Mississippi State University to receive any part or portion of the 2% tax. But as a spirit of cooperation with Mississippi State University, this board fully supported the Mississippi State University Student Body Association receiving 20% of the 2% tax. Just for those who may not know how the distribution goes, 40% goes to our city parks, 30% goes to the Greater Stark Development Partnership, with it being split out to 15% to the Visiting Convention Council, and 15% to economic development. That's 70%, and the city retains 10% for economic development purposes, and Mississippi State gets 20%. Want to thank Mississippi State students for their present involvement, and I do feel that I need to go on the record tonight on behalf of my constituents to indicate that I must respectfully dissent to this proposal, because the city is already supporting Mississippi State University, not only in a lot of ways through the expenditure of tax dollars, but also with 20% of the 2% tax. And this amount that the university is requesting has exceeded $17,000, and that amount is steady growing. And the other side to this argument, I'm going to say, well, it enhances economic development and bring business in the city. But that was the purpose of this city giving the university students 20% of that economic, of that 2% tax, and the bulk of that $17,000+ that this university is asking for these students, it goes toward the police protection. So this dollar amount grows each year, and it, in my opinion, would be a more of a considering request if the university students did not receive any part or portion of the 2% tax. But we're almost at $20,000, and just a bit too much money for me to digest. And you know, with all of the issues that we're having in the city, the drainage issues, the infrastructure issues, and of course, you know, there are arguments on the other side going to make, but we need all the money we can get. And I got plenty of streets that need to be overlaid. I got a lot of drainage issues. I have a lot of infrastructure issues, and you know, we just can't keep handing this money out. And that was the purpose of giving Mississippi State at the time of the amendment of that distribution for that. You know, we gave strong support to Mississippi State University, and that 20% amount that the university get has increased each year, and they get a very sizable amount. So they get to keep that 20%, and we keep piling their and lining their pockets with these additional appropriations. So that needed to be said. It certainly takes strong leadership to say this. No disrespect to Mississippi State University. I know they bring a lot of people in town, but yet we give them 20% of the 2% tax. And so I know that the votes are here to say it, but it's my job not to count the votes, but to give what leadership, in my opinion, that I think I need to fulfill. I yield the floor, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anyone else? Mr.
Mayor,
Beatty?
on the new 1%, we're going to use that for the debt service on our new park, and also for budget for Parks and Recreation. And it's not. Is it going to be split like the other?
No, sir, it is not. It's 100% going to the city.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Alderman Little.
Mayor, I recognize there's some representatives from the Student Association here, and if y'all would like to come say a few words or anything, you don't have to, but you're welcome to. I know you've been sitting out there for a while. Kind of fill us in on what the plans for the fall.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, the rest of the board. First, I'm David Cuevas. I'm actually the director of Bulldog Bash this year, and
my name is Jake Manning, and I am the president of the Student Association this year.
And I can honestly tell you.
And I'm Jackie Mullen, Assistant Dean of Students, Director of Student Activities and Greek Life at Mississippi State.
Thank you.
I can tell you, when I was in this position last year, I was new to it, had no idea where I was going to go, and not sure what to expect really. And the Starkville City, the Greater Starkville Development Partnership, Mayor Sproul herself, Emily in the back, all of them in the Special Events Committee have been so forthcoming with me and so helpful with it. And I'm very thankful for them. This event could not happen without the city of Starkville. And we look forward to it every single year. Last year we had about 40,000 people come in, and this year we're going to make it even bigger. So we really appreciate your support, and thank you for everything.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful event.
Thank you.
Love it. Appreciate you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Alderman Little. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, by a vote of 4-2, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item we have is a claims docket.
Move approval.
I have a motion from Alderman Walker for a claims docket approval. We have a second from Alderman Little. Further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, 4-2, motion carries. The next item is a lease agreement with Regions Equipment Finance Corporation in the amount of $836,500 over 7 years to be made for 2 rear loader trucks, 1 front loader truck, and 1 knuckle boom truck to be used by the Starkville Sanitation Department.
Mayor, move approval.
I have a motion from Alderman Walker. Do I have a second?
Second.
I believe I heard Alderman Vaughn. Alderman Vaughn is a second from Alderman Vaughn. Further discussion?
Mayor.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Just like to say, Mr. Ware, I am very happy that we're going to be able to have these new trucks and the new knuckle boom truck to help make the city better. I believe I've seen already one of the garbage trucks. Are they already here? Yeah, I thought that was it when I saw it riding down the road the other day. It looks nice, and so I'm hopeful, fire or no other act withstanding, that we're going to be able to have these garbage trucks for a good long time. What about the knuckle boom truck? Is it in, and what's the time frame on that if it's not?
It's in, and we got it in use, so we'll run it 24/7.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
And for purposes of our microphone ability, Mr. Ware has said that it's in and ready to go and running 24/7, I believe is what he said. Probably not quite, but close to it, right? Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much. All right.
While we're talking about
I'm sorry,
sanitation.
Alderman Little.
Mr. Ware, I'd like to say thank you to you and your staff for your responsiveness down in the Cotton District this weekend. And we had a large crowd. I hope we have a bigger crowd this weekend for the Super, and I hope the weather's going to hold up. But appreciate you guys getting out early Sunday morning and getting that place looking back in order. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman.
The mayor on Sunday, she showed up and we cleaned up the Cotton District, and I tell you, she went to work.
I brought a broom, didn't I, Cameron? All right, well, thank you for that. I appreciate the shout out. All right, motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. And I believe that clears our agenda for all our open session items. So
We'll go into closed session.
I have a motion from Alderman Little to go into closed session. Do I have a second? Second from Alderman Vaughn. No further discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. If you would clear the room, please, we'll be going into That's All right, the board has moved to go into executive session to discuss potential land acquisition on Washington Street and potential litigation to recoup police training fees. So if you would, once again, I'm sorry, don't get comfortable, clear the room, and we will go into executive session. Thank you all. We did take action in executive session. Attorney Lattimore will read the motion and the vote.
The board moved approval for the city to engage an appraiser pursuant to Mississippi Code Section 43373 to appraise the Buckner property on Washington Street.
Okay, thank you. All right, and that takes us to the end of the session. I do have my language for the work session in accordance with notices required under Mississippi Code 254113. The board will be having a work session on the 14th of June 2019 at 12 p.m. That meeting will be held at City Hall in the second floor conference room located at 110 West Main Street. Public and media are invited to attend. Notice shall be provided of this work session with 1 hour of this meeting by posting such notice at City Hall. The notice should be made a part of the minutes of the board meeting. The work session will be open. Public meeting for the City of Starkville, public and press are invited to attend, and I will be out of town, so the vice mayor will be in charge of that work session.
I'll be there, Mayor.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion from Alderman Little, a second from Alderman Sistro. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are in adjournment. Thank you. Alderman Beatty, thank you for being here for our first one.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you.
Concerns.